Yeah, so I think there's a few things that are, let's call them challenges to the growth of the Internet of Things. I say challenges because I have complete confidence they're going to be overcome. I don't think these are long-term issues. Energy is one. Energy is a challenge because as we produce billions and billions of sensors, putting batteries in things obviously is not practical. Putting batteries in, let me rephrase, putting batteries in is okay. It's the changing of the batteries every year or two that becomes a real problem. You can imagine even in a small home, you've got 100 different devices. It's a pain to just change the batteries in your smoke detector. Now amplify that by 100 times. That's an issue. Imagine billions of devices around a city that you now need to change batteries for. It's not practical. So energy is one issue. But there are some interesting innovations emerging around energy harvesting, whether it's the harvesting of radio signals to power a thing. There's a device, in fact, just announced this week, which is a lattice essentially that can harvest energy from both light, heat, and motion all at the same time, all within the same structure, which is pretty significant. So instead of having multiple systems to do that, it's one system that can do it. So energy is one. Another big sort of challenge is, frankly, the interoperability of all these things, the different protocols. So many of these IoT devices, they have sort of an alphabet soup of acronyms that all these things sort of share. So is it BLE or Bluetooth Low Energy? Is it Wi-Fi? Is it Zigbee? Is it Z-Wave? And instead of sort of consolidating some of these things, we're adding new things. So we're adding new protocols like Thread, for example. So it becomes this challenge to get all of these things to communicate with one another. And what's interesting is the internet actually went through this once before, back in the sort of the early 90s. If you remember back, that the internet was also an alphabet soup of different acronyms, things like Token Ring and DECnet and Apple Talk and IP, and eventually the industry converged on IP. And it makes all these different devices. It's a much more painless way for these things to communicate. Well, IoT hasn't yet gone through that. I think we will consolidate over the coming years on probably a couple of different protocols. I don't think we'll get down to one, certainly not in the near term. And that's because there's different considerations around bandwidth requirements or sensor requirements or energy requirements. It's hard to have a one-size-fits-all, if you will, with a protocol for technology devices. And then the last area, which is less of a technology concern perhaps, but it's still a very viable concern, and that's the issue around privacy and security. I view privacy and security as, frankly, sort of two sides of the same coin, meaning if you compromise one, you compromise the other by definition. I think we need better controls, better management on how we think about security and privacy with IoT. No one wants their privacy eroded because they're giving information up for some service. And we certainly need to make sure that all of these IoT devices are secure so that homes are not compromised, or cars are not compromised, or buildings or cities, electrical systems and so on are not compromised. So security would be another sort of big one. So protocols, energy, security and privacy would be sort of top of mind issues for IoT growth. There are others, but those would be the main ones.